Welcome to another edition of Pro Paintball Weekly. I'm your host, E-Money, and today we're breaking down the 2007 NXL Chicago Open, and what an event it was. Let's give it up. Congratulations, X Factor coming in with their first victory, and these guys doing it in style and doing it with class, taking out everyone in their way, and also the IRONMEN on their way to their first victory. I mean, these guys were a Division II team last year. They came in late in 2006 and made a little bit of noise, and now here they are on the winner's podium. Congratulations, X Factor. Also, Naughty Dogs and Aftershock make their first appearance in the quarterfinals. Got to hand it off to those guys and their programs for getting it back on track. But we got a lot to cover. Let's get right into it. All right, folks, here we go. The top 8 NXL in Chicago. Here we go. Of course, we talked about it. X Factor pulling off the big victory, and again, doing it in style, praising the Lord all the way. Got to hand it to those guys. A class act, again, coming out of nowhere. Division II last year. Now sitting in third place overall. Their first victory in the NXL. But these guys, again, they were put to the test. The Legacy beat them earlier during the week, and then they had an overtime quarterfinal game with Strange. And once they won that, there was no stopping them. So, X Factor, look out. Now, for you young ones at home, here's a tip. Write this down. Teamwork always beats talent. That's a guarantee. And X Factor had the teamwork. Of course, IRONMEN, a much more talented squad. I mean, their whole squad's an all-star team, for crying out loud. But let me tell you something. Teamwork always beats talent, and you saw it happen in Chicago in the rain here. All right, second place finish. The IRONMEN, the boys in red, led by Oliver Lang. And it was quite a contrast there in the post-game huddles as the IRONMEN were dropping F-bombs and weren't too happy about their loss. But here's the key here. I think Oliver had the best thing to say, was that, hey, when you get knocked down, you get back up. And a lot of people say, well, why are the IRONMEN so bummed? You know, they're in first place overall. You know, Dave's got to be happy. Here's the thing. The IRONMEN know they have the most talented team, and they know they should be winning every event. And when they don't, they realize they've let themselves and let their fans down. So got to hand to the IRONMEN there. They realize their place, and they need to stay on it. But nonetheless, first place overall. But it's going to be a fight here, because as we're going to start talking here, if you notice, the Russians have not been mentioned yet. And they won't be, because this is the first time they did not make the quarterfinals. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about third place here. DYNASTY. Once again, these guys kind of quiet, just doing their job, just staying in there. Again, they are now second place overall. And again, if I'm a DYNASTY fan, I've got to be happy, because these guys can turn it up at any time and end up winning this whole thing. They, again, ran into the X Factor in the semis there. The X Factor entourage there could not be stopped, so you got to hand to X Factor. They went through the big guys and pulled it off, and DYNASTY got it. Again, IRONMEN and DYNASTY both got it handed to them by X Factor. All right, moving on in fourth place. Philly Americans. We haven't talked about those guys for a while. They're in eighth place overall. But a strong fourth place finish lets the Gardeners hold their head up proud again, as the Philly team has always been known for its slow starts. It's always been known to kind of drag its way through, and then come the playoffs that were the years past, they kind of pulled it up and were able to get their championships. But now it's a different format, so it's nice to see these guys hitting their stride a little sooner than the tail end. All right, let's talk about fifth place finish here in Chicago. Aftershock. That's right. There's a name you have not heard. Rennick Miller's got to be happy with this crew. These guys are seventh place overall. Not happy about that, but the strong finish here. Now, here's the interesting quandary of this team here. These guys beat the Russians and were the ones that knocked them out, basically, of the quarterfinals. But then they lost to Ultimate, of all teams, and that was Ultimate's only second win ever in the NXL. So you got to wonder what is going on with Aftershock. But hey, at least they definitely improved themselves, so I got to hand it to them there. All right, moving on. Coming down in, I guess it's sixth place now, Detroit Strange, or fifth place. Detroit Strange here. Again, these guys have been right in that quarterfinals spot pretty much all year, but haven't really done much with it. And again, they do the same thing here. But they are sixth place overall, so they're kind of out of that top 3, top 4, but they are not within striking distance if they want to pick up their game a little bit. So I got to hand it to Strange, at least being consistent, making the quarters each time. They just got to step it up that one extra notch and get things going. All right, next we have Oakland Infamous. Okay, here these guys are. Didn't think this squad was going to do much, again, with the whole breakup and the merger and PMI and National. But here they are with a decent placing, and now they are fifth place overall. again, a very dangerous spot for these guys, again, because they can strike these top 3 or 4 anytime they want. Infamous lost to Dynasty and in the quarters, and that's what knocked them out. But they also got it handed to them, I believe, on Thursday or Friday by X Factor. So they were I think it was Friday. So they felt the pain of the X Factor there. But nonetheless, Infamous 5th place. They got to be happy about that overall. All right, in 7th place, let's talk about Seattle Naughty Dogs. We haven't heard from them in a while. Naughty Dogs back to their semi-victorious ways here. And again, this is the best finish of the year so far in the NXL, coming off of last year's win, basically, on the whole Smart Parts television show. So I guess the guys realize they still have it in them. They're ranked 11th place overall, which is definitely not where Seattle's used to being. So again, it comes down to, hey, which format we're going to choose, but it's nice to get in the quarters at least. Okay, for the and in the final placing here, last place, I would have never suspected this after their strong showing in the LA event. Excessive. What is going on with these guys? I don't know if it's just inner turmoil or these guys don't believe more or what's going on, but they basically stunk up the place in Chicago. Could have been the mud, could have been the rain, I don't know, but a last place finish for Excessive. Again, after what they did in Los Angeles, who knows what's going on with that franchise. Now for the rest of the squads in the middle and in between, I guess it's time to talk about the Russians and figure out what happened. I think what we're seeing now is the American teams have finally figured out the Russian puzzle and realized that they are beatable and we can take them out. And it was just a slew of penalties that caused their demise. I mean, their first game on Thursday was ultimate. They beat them 20 zillion to 1, I think, and it looked like, okay, they're rolling again. But Aftershock beat them, and they had another tough loss, and the penalties they just could not overcome. So the Russians are realizing they can't make the mistakes anymore, and now there's a tight race going on in the NXL. Okay, so we can talk about IRONMEN in 1st place, Dynasty in 2nd overall, X Factor 3rd overall, Russians 4th overall. Russians realize, hey, we got to pick up our game if we're going to start winning. And that causes some great excitement here because now, again, it's anybody's game. All right, folks, that wraps up this edition of Pro Paintball Weekly. Don't miss our next show as we cover the Boston Breakdown NPPL for '07. Until then, I'm Evan Money. God bless everybody.